Well, I think it was going to come out. So I think they knew it was going to come out eventually. So I think they had a press release typed up and ready to go. Whether or not they tipped off Yahoo Sports, how exactly that came about, I'm not sure. But I think they knew that this was going to come eventually, and they were prepared for it. The last time there was a setback when Joel Embiid was put in the boot in March, they were kind of surprised and caught off guard by it. So I think they just wanted to really be on top of it and not have that situation come up again where maybe information was getting out there that they really hadn't gone over internally and really vetted and decided how they wanted to approach that. So I think that's mostly the reason why it came about the way it did.
All right, Derek. The comment was pretty general, at least from what I read from Sam Hinkie was it revealed less healing than anticipated at this point. Should people be legitimately concerned, or is that just a, hey, look, because to me, the last time they had a CT scan, correct me if I'm wrong, Derek, they said it was ahead of schedule. How do you go from ahead of schedule to now less than anticipated, and then the world falls off its axis?
Yeah, it's really, like you said, it's vague to the point where you almost can't take anything away from it, outside of the fact that anytime you hear any kind of setback or even things aren't going as well as you hope in a 7-footer with a bad ankle, your natural inclination is to panic, and it's not necessarily the wrong inclination either. But for what we actually know, there's just not enough to really go off. Like you said, it could be that maybe he was ahead of schedule earlier, so maybe they revised the schedule, and he's not meeting that, revised expectations. Maybe they just don't have enough information to really tell us the full details of, what's wrong. Maybe there's something that changed structurally, and maybe it's just not. Maybe there's muscle that's not quite as developed as they want. We have almost no information to go off, which is tough because it leads to speculation and panic and fear. But I think the team right now probably doesn't have. I think they probably want second opinions. I think they probably don't have as much information as they would like. They're probably waiting on the results. So that's probably why they're being vague about it. But the longer they're vague about it, the more we're going to, speculate. But there's just not really enough information to really know whether or not this is, panic, worst case scenario, another surgery, or whether or not it's just, he might miss summer league and they might just be extra cautious about it. We just don't know.
Do you find it odd? All right, April 23rd, Scott O'Neal says Joel Embiid will participate. Less than 2 months later, this comes out that he's got foot problems. How do they go as an organization to say he's going to play in the summer league to now he, might miss the entire season? Some people are speculating there's a legitimate chance that he misses the whole year. How does he go from playing in the summer league from the CEO to legitimately possibly missing the entire season?
Well, remember the last time that he was in a boot, we all speculated that he might miss the entire season as well. And a week later, his workout schedule was ramped up. So I think that reaction that he might miss the entire season, I think that's as much us as anything that, like I said, anything that we really have any knowledge of. But setbacks happen. Like you could think he's going on schedule. It's just these kind of things are so tough to predict. I think what surprised me more than anything isn't the fact that there's a setback, but that Scott O'Neal and later Brett Brown and all of them said that he would play in a summer league. I didn't really expect them to make that definitive of a statement that early in the process because they are so desirous to be extremely, extremely, extremely cautious, and that he would only play in the summer league if they felt like there was no risk. So to me, the surprising thing was almost that they said it at all. But the fact that when they get news like this, their first reaction is to be extra, extra cautious. And that means shutting them down until they get more information. And because of that cautiousness, how cautious they are, I think might drive a little bit of our panic because you never want to hear setback. But by the same token, this is the type of injury that a lot of times when it gets really bad, it's because you don't notice it, but you play on it for months on end. And you're playing on a problem that you don't even realize you have because sometimes the pain just isn't there or it's bearable and you can work through it. So I think they want to, they get them CT scans so frequently, and their first reaction is to be so cautious about it because they don't want that, stress over time to really hurt it. But that cautiousness also causes some of our reactions. So I think we really just need more information before we can really jump off a bridge and say, he's going to miss a year or this is career threatening or anything like that. We just really don't know. He could really just, they could really just be extra cautious with this. It's really hard to say.
Derek Bodner is with us. Derek, couple quotes I'm interested to get your take on from the Philly.com article from Keith Pompey out there, obviously, over the weekend. One saying he was their guy. They were hoping he was a franchise player. If he's not a franchise player, their whole plan is gone. If Embiid can't play or if he can't reach a superstar level, their plan is really in trouble. I think we've all kind of said this was the guy they were banking on. I mean, there's no two ways about it. They were hoping that this guy's the guy, and if he can't play, obviously, how devastating is it if he has to miss the entire season?
Well, certainly. I mean, if he doesn't work out for whatever reason, that's a blow. And we've always said that he is currently the center of the Sixers universe. But by the same token, I think there's a little bit of hyperbole there. I mean, everybody asks, why do we have to go through multiple years of tanking? Why are we trading MCW for another unknown? Why are we doing this, that? And it's to get options, and it's to get multiple chances at that superstar player, at that great player, because there is the reality that sometimes things don't work out, whether that's a missed evaluation, a player doesn't develop like you think he will, or whether that's injury. So they're sitting here, they have, Noel, who played very well. They have their top 3 pick this year. And if Embiid doesn't play next year, they'll probably have a top 3 pick next year, and also the Lakers pick, which is probably going to be top 7. So they're really setting themselves up so they have a lot of avenues and a lot of chances to really get this right. So yeah, it's going to be a big blow, because anytime you have a potential superstar player, a potential franchise player, those situations are just very, they're very tough. They don't come around all that often. And anytime that doesn't work out how you hope it will, that's a huge blow. But by the same token, I don't think they're putting all their eggs in Embiid's basket. I think they have a lot of avenues to go to. It would be really tough if Embiid doesn't work out, because he has that potential. But I don't think you can say any declarative statement like their plan can't succeed now, because I think they have been taking measures just in case this happens.
Derek, another comment was, I don't think anyone around the league is surprised at all. Cleveland and Milwaukee would not consider him because of foot and back injuries. Do you look back now and wonder, was taking Embiid the right risk?
Absolutely. I mean, was Aaron Gordon going to turn your franchise around? I don't see anybody taking after him that had that potential. And look, you don't spend 5, 6, 7 years being at the top of the lottery because you missed out on potential starting caliber players. You don't fail to be relevant because you missed out on maybe even potential a guy like Andre Iguodala, who might be a potential all-star if he develops perfectly. You miss out because you never get that franchise guy. You never get that real top 10 talent. And when you're in a position where you have that rare opportunity to really go for one, you go for it. And Embiid was there at 3 because he carried significant risk, but it was a risk worth taking because the guys underneath him just never had that potential to really be a franchise guy or even anything remotely resembling a franchise guy. It's a move I would have made 10 times out of 10. I said it before the draft, and I say it now. And the fact that he might not be healing as quickly as expected, that doesn't really change that, because the reasoning behind that was how rare of an opportunity it was to get that kind of player. So no, I don't think it was a mistake at all.
Obviously, there's a lot out there right now that people are speculating on, and obviously, as we're doing here, would you be surprised if he is not ready for the start of the season?
I would say I would be surprised, but I would also say that until we get more information, it's really hard to even have an expectation at this point. If this is something that requires a second surgery, then I wouldn't be surprised at all if he doesn't play to start the season. If this is just something that needs more time and needs more time to heal, then I would expect that he would be ready for the start of the season. It was tough because over the weekend we had 2 reports come out, one that just surgery was not an option, and the other that it hadn't been ruled out. So whatever information we are getting, it's contradictory, and it's just not very definitive right now. I would certainly be disappointed if he's not ready to start the season. But right now, my expectations, it's impossible for me to set him because there's not enough information to really do so. What I would say is that I'm not quite ready to rule it out yet, and I'm not ready to jump off a bridge. But until you get clarification, it's going to be something that we're always going to worry about.
Tough news, and obviously, there's a something that's kind of making the rounds right now that basically is saying there's a legitimate chance he misses the entire season. Could this be the Sixers just saying, look, this got out there, and we will kind of put that out in the look, this isn't going to change what they're going to do on the 25th, right?
No. No, I always thought they were going to take the best player available exactly because of this reason. You don't really want to start counting your chickens before they hatch. Because there's just so much that could happen. Between now and the point where Embiid or any one of these guys really establishes themselves as a superstar. If you take talent and you have in 3 years excess talent that can't play well together, that's a much better alternative than assuming that any one of these guys are going to work out, assuming that you already have 3 long-term pieces in the front court in Embiid, Noel, and Saric, and taking lesser prospects because of that. I don't think it changes their draft whatsoever.
All right, Derek Bodner, obviously more stuff needs to come out on this before we can really give a definitive answer, but always great stuff from you, and we'll see what happens here. If new news comes out, we'll tap into Derek. Thanks, bud.
Thank you. Take care.